You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Facebook, we are YBMchat Podcast. Instagram at YBMchat. You can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts at YBMchat.
Hey, it's Dashia D.
Hey, it's Cassondra.
Hey, y'all, it's Tre'Dub.
And we are
YBMchat.
young Black millennials offering you a fresh new take you didn't know you needed.
All right, so how y'all doing today? So, as you can see, we actually are missing one of our hosts, but also have a guest with us. So, LadiiNova, she is actually out of town, spending some quality time with her significant other. So she will not be joining us. But we do actually have a guest with us, someone very special to me I've known since college. His name is Harry Titus. He is a mental health specialist, more so on the college level. So I'm very excited to have him join in our conversation today. So Harry, would you like to give us a little bit brief description about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So again, Harry, as DeAndre or Trey mentioned, he's known me since college. So I attended Coastal Carolina University, where I got my bachelor's and my master's degree. My master's is in education. Following that, I started working at Coastal as a case manager, which is on the administrative side, which is non-clinical case management. So we work directly with the counselors around mental health on our campus. About a year and a half ago, I moved to North Carolina and currently work at Elon University as an assistant director in the Dean of Students office, is where I basically do crisis response. I respond to crisis on our campus from the administrative side. So that could be anything from mental health concerns, which involves suicidal ideation, self-harming behaviors, to your general well-being concerns with students, so students that may not be engaged on campus, to students that are struggling academically. And so we work really to make sure the students are connected to the appropriate resources administratively with our counselors. So I'm not a clinical professional, but again, I work very closely with our counseling services on our campus and in the community. So I've done a lot of work around mental health. And hopefully this fall, I will be going back to school to start my doctoral program. I'm currently waiting for an acceptance letter. And so if I get that, I will be going back to school to start a doctoral program in the fall. That's a little bit of
it. Oh my gosh.
I didn't even know that.
This is like very new. Like I literally just put my application in a week ago and all of my stuff got sent in a week ago. So.
Oh wow. Well, congratulations. We're going to claim it first. Congratulations.
Well, like I said, I am very excited to have him joining on this episode. And I'm like, y'all will definitely see the person that I see in this episode, especially with everything that we're going to talk about. So with that being said, boy.
All right. So I'm sure you guys have all heard in the news, this is another tragic death. A guy named George Floyd in Minnesota got killed by a white cop. And I think the story was saying that they called the police because they thought he was writing bad checks or whatever. And when the cops got there, they had already arrested him. They had him on the ground. And there is a video out if y'all would want to see it. But the cop had his knee on George's neck. And in the video, he's saying, "I can't breathe." He's yelling. He's telling them, "I can't breathe." And the whole time it's like you're watching him go lifeless. And it's so sad because he's telling this guy, "I can't breathe." And it's not like it's just him and the cop. It's him, the cop, and other cops around. So there's people there who had the opportunity to say, "This is not right. This is not what we learned in training camp. You shouldn't do this." You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so unfortunately he did pass away. And of course everybody's outraged, which who wouldn't be? That's not fair. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to talk about this briefly because I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm just tired. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired of this happening. And you can say, okay, well, let's protest or let's do this or do that. But I feel like nothing's happening. And it's frustrating, you know what I'm saying, to be a Black person. And then Black men, you know what I'm saying? Like, this stuff happens all the time. Like, I fear for Black people in general, you know what I'm saying? And I have a little brother, and I worry about him all the time. And half the time you don't have to be doing anything. And if a bad cop, let me just say that, if a bad cop feels threatened by a Black person, then, I mean, they'll take your life. And what Ricky Smiley was saying on the radio last week, he was saying, it's unfortunate, but if you get pulled over by a cop, just don't defend yourself. It's crazy, as crazy as it sounds, just take it, just don't say anything, just let them know, you know, I want a lawyer, and that's it. Don't fight with them. You can be dead right. Like, you can be 100% right. Just, and that's what Ricky Smiley was saying. I'd rather you be right and live to see another day than be wrong and live to see another day, or be right and argue back and forth with a cop, you know? Because on the side of the street, you'll never win. You arguing with this cop, you know what I'm saying? And the biggest thing that frustrates me is this is everything that's on video. You know what I'm saying? So just imagine everything that we don't see, everything that, you know, I'm not sure how long police have been wearing body cams, but before all this stuff happened, before people were able to pull out their phones and pull out Facebook Live or record stuff. So just imagine everything that, you know, goes unseen. So I just wanted to know how everybody feels about this situation.
I'm just like, well, me personally, it's just, and I'll keep mine brief. So like with every name, with every video, with every post, with every hashtag, and every, like, you know, African-American has passed away due to situations like this. And like Cassondra said, I am exhausted. Like, I watched a video one time and I really couldn't take it anymore. Because at the end of the day, it's like, that easily could have been me. That easily could have been Harry. That easily could have been my older brother. So it's kind of like, in a way, I'm kind of desensitized to it because it's been happening way too much now. And it's like, I'm so like aggravated and also tired. And it's like, I don't even know how to feel at this point. And it's crazy because I have one of my coworkers, she's Caucasian. And of course, and she has an African-American husband. And they had like a real deep conversation that she explained to me when I was actually at work recently. And they had a deep conversation about the whole situation because, of course, she's Caucasian and she's not familiar with, like, you know, the lifestyle outside her husband. So, and she was, you know, talking to me about it just to kind of get my input to at least, like, you know, understand how is it, you know, between an older Black man and a Black man my age. And, you know, seriously, and I told the same thing. I'm like, at this point, it's like we could just, like, you know, like Cassondra say, listen to the cops, and at the end of the day, still get the short end of the stick. So it's kind of like how I honestly don't know how to even decrease the amount of situations that are happening in this case, because it's like we've had Black men that have been shot by going to the grocery store, and in his case, like, just, you know, enjoying his day at the park, or just like being ourselves, you know? So by now, it's like, I really wish I knew what would be the best way to move forward from this, but I'm just exhausted and really tired. But for real, the really short thing I want to say is, to all my fellow Black brothers, you are worth it. You are loved. And that's really like the message that I wanted to give out to all my fellow Black brothers. So with that being said, go ahead.
Trying to think over everything y'all said.
No, it's okay.
Okay, the first thing, as far as, I don't understand why it would take for someone to have to see a video of someone dying for it to be important to them or for it to matter. I feel like you should just have a basis of humanity. If you hear the story, that should be enough. And like Trey said, he's seen it so much to the point where he's desensitized to it. It's almost like they just put it out like we're animals. Yeah. Like it's a dog in the middle of the street who just got ran over, and we become used to it. I understand when people say, like, if you're pulled over, yes ma'am, no ma'am, you know, comply so you don't get killed. Right. But just like Trey said, you can be in your own apartment. Her name is Breonna Taylor, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
26. Yeah. She's in her apartment and gets killed. She didn't have a chance to explain anything. Mm-hmm. And that's just like the guy in Dallas a few years ago. Yeah. He's in his own apartment. So really, it's like, what can you do? You're simply just living life, and boom, it happens. And yes, they might have been arrested, but that does not mean that they're going to be convicted.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't get excited when they say, oh, they got arrested. Okay, what's next? Like, are they going to actually serve time for this, or are they going to get a slap on the wrist? Because I know the same person, the Dallas cop who got convicted, I want to see how many years she actually serves before she goes and serves it in probation.
I remember you said that, yeah.
So I don't
they
know,
might give her 10 years and she served 2.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's just frustrating to see, and it just becomes disheartening because you could be having a great day in your personal life, and then you go on social media or you see the news, and that's the first thing that pops up, and it's one person after the other, to the point where I honestly don't remember everyone's name. I mean, that sounds terrible, but it happens so much to the point where you're like, okay, who was this? What city? What story?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just frustrating. And I don't know that it's our duty to change it. I feel like it's a systemic thing. Like, they need to be training their officers. They need to be changing certain policies. He's on the ground and he's handcuffed. What threat is he to you? He had his knee on his neck, I think, for like 8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah, this in 9 minutes.
On camera with a cop next to him who could have easily said, okay, that's enough. I feel like the guy was trying to prove a point, like, okay, y'all going to continue screaming at me. I'm going to do what I want to do. But that's what it felt like. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. It's just frustrating. And I really don't have any other words for it beyond that. So.
Right. So I could talk about this all day, but I already know because, you know, there's a lot of things. I think so. CNN released a story, I think about 2 or 3 hours ago, where they showed a new video where 3 cops were actually kneeling on him. So it wasn't just the one that's been convicted. There were 2 more, because there were a total of 4 cops, I think, involved. And initially they thought they only were saying that 1 cop was kneeling on the guy, but actually a new video just came out about 2 hours ago that showed it was actually 3 cops. And the thing is, the cop was charged with 3rd-degree murder. That's basically manslaughter. So, like, that's not even, like, premeditated murder or anything like that. It's literally manslaughter. So, like, you know, it's still going to be a slap on the wrist. I follow this activist named Brittany Packnett, and she's a contributor for MSNBC, and she literally said, like, we'll never see justice in this case because justice would have been him leaving the scene or just going to jail and still having his life. The most we can get now is accountability. Like, and we probably won't even get that, right? And it's really not our job as Black folks to fix this, right? So I'm about to say something to my white brothers and sisters. It is your job as folks with power and privilege to step up and begin to call racism out, begin to actually educate your racist family members who have been racist for a long time. It's your time to start educating them. Stop telling us that you're praying for us. Stop telling us that you hear us, you see us, and actually begin to call out racism and educate yourself on what racism really means. And it's up to, we do have to begin to vote in local. We have to think about local politics. The sheriff of that county elected official. And so we got to begin to put people in office that's actually going to hold people accountable as well, because it's going to continue to happen. Like you said, they can wear body cams, we can record. They still do what they want to do because they know that at the end of the day, they're protected. They're protected by the system. Systemic oppression has been around for a long time, and it is not up to us as Black folks to fix it. We tired as hell, and stand up and actually do what they need to do. I'll stop there because, again, I can literally go on all day. I'll stop there because I'm mad, and I'm sure a lot of us are mad. And, you know, Trump tweeted, I think today, that when they're looting, we start shooting or something like that.
Did you see that? I was like, I know.
Calling in the National Guard to, like, go in. But I'm like, really? Like, those are all just underlying racist. Like, that's all underlying racist language, calling them thugs, you know, all that in his tweets. I'm like, get out of here. So yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
So really quick, Trey, I do apologize, but before we move on, Dashia, do you mind sharing that picture you sent to us, or I can do it? I just know you sent it, and I didn't.
I'm confused. What picture?
So it was by Therapy is My Jam on Instagram, and it was about coping with racial events in the news.
What do you mean share it? Like talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, I do want to explain that and talk about it, but I know you gave it to us.
So this is something that I saw while scrolling. I think Charlemagne actually reshared it, posted it. So pretty much in the post, it's saying that because these things happen so often, like I was saying earlier, sometimes a part of your self-care might be to not look at the story, to not watch that video, because it could trigger you, and it can contribute to people's anxiety, their depression. It can, I mean, honestly, especially if you are if you're a Black person going out into the world, you can become very anxious, especially if you see a cop around you. You just don't know what's going to happen. So it was saying it's okay to not watch the videos or to not discuss the issue in that moment if you need to take a break from it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I will say this. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I will say I just saw this video today of this Black father actually showing how his son should probably take control, not even take control, but how to handle those type of situations if you happen to be in a situation similar to George Floyd. And it was like, that was the only thing I probably saw, and it really was inspiring. I was like, wow, this is a Black father teaching his Black son of how to kind of maneuver yourself through those situations. So hopefully, potentially, depending on the situation, that you don't end up, in a similar situation.
A video, there's a guy named Belief Mel who he does rap, but he's a vlogger as well. Mm-hmm. It's called Belief in Fatherhood.
Yeah.
But him and his wife sat their 6-year-old and 4-year-old sons down to talk to them about what it means to be Black, and if they're approached by a police officer.
Yeah.
I would say go watch the video and see for yourselves how you feel about it. I just thought it was pretty sad that it was almost like their innocence was slipping away. They were no longer just children. They now have to be aware that, okay, this is how some people look at me, and this is how I have to carry myself out into the world. But just something to think about.
Definitely. So, yeah, a lot of resources that have been out since everything happened. So with that being said, I would like to bring us move into the topic. So as you guys may have known from our past 2 episodes, actually, that this month, as we're wrapping up Mental Health Awareness Month in May, I wanted to kind of talk to everyone about going back into reality. So I'm not sure how many states are kind of slowly getting back to work, or whoever's going back to work, but we want to kind of talk about how are you mentally preparing yourselves to go back into the workplace, especially during a time like this where there's a pandemic going on. And at this point, we don't even know when it's going to be over. So with that being said, I just want to ask a few questions. So starting with, has working from home, if you have been working from home, has it been easier for you? Why or why not? So I want to start this with Ms. Cassondra.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so we went back to work a month ago. I work at a preschool, and that was terrifying because it's a preschool and they already got germs and stuff like that. So to take those and then bring it all into one building. But when we were out for 6 weeks, and I was still kind of going to people's houses to babysit and stuff like that. So I guess I never really was working from home. We would have virtual school, but I was still around the people and the kids and the teachers, But even doing that was much harder than being in the classroom every day. I would have much rather see my kids every day, do the lessons and the schedules that we had planned, than do virtual school, because you have some families who don't understand technology. So it's you have to go, which I didn't mind, but go way out your way to explain what Facebook is, how you make a page, and you got to do all of this over the phone. So it's man, I just want to be back in school, but it was draining. I was more tired doing that than being actually in my classroom, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I wanted to ask this specific question, because I know everyone in this recording, in this podcast, of even Harry as well, works with children, either teaching or counseling. So I really kind of want to see you guys input, especially going through your daily routine, but electronically. So yeah, with that being said, Ms. Dashia, how was your experience from working from home? Been easier for you? Why or why not?
Not easier. So just a reminder, so I work in mental health. I do family counseling.
Take your time.
Yep. So luckily I have been able to continue working, because I know some people out there have not been able to. So let me start with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have transitioned to telehealth, which just means that I'm doing sessions over Zoom, Skype, Doxy.me, all sorts of things, some over the phone. Now, an issue with that is, like Cassondra said, technology. There are some families I have that don't have access to Wi-Fi. Therefore, I can't see them visually. So I have to just talk to them over the phone. Would you want to do therapy over the phone and you can't see someone's body language or none of that? It doesn't work. And then also I work with a lot of grandparents. So we might spend 30 minutes of an hour session trying to get them logged on to the session. So that's a thing. And then I would say lack of engagement. So it's easier for families to dodge you. Most of my clients do not come because they'd like to come to therapy, right? They've been ordered through DCS or the court or whatever has happened. So they're like, oh, I missed your call. My phone was dead, or whatever the case may be. Or you have like or you have like 6-year-olds who you can't keep their attention that long over FaceTime. They want to go play with LOL dolls and watch Frozen. So
that's specific.
Overall, Overall, it has been very, very difficult.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Harry.
Yeah, I think it's been much harder too. Like, I've been working from home, I think, since March 18th or something like that. And my first day back in office was this past Tuesday. And so, like, literally, I've been home for like 70 some days. And it is much difficult. Like, I came into the field of higher education for the interactions with students and with colleagues, right? And I don't get to do that from home. And again, I do crisis response from the administrative side. And so a lot of what I've been having to do is talk to students on the phone. Obviously, this pandemic has really showed how, equity plays a part into what's going on. We have students without Wi-Fi, without computers. And so, like, how are they able to engage in their classwork? And so really being creative, trying to figure that out. I feel like I've been working more hours since being home as well, because it's just so much more work to get done. And mentally, I just don't have the motivation all the time to do it. And so procrastination has been part of it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been much more difficult. Again, I'm an extrovert. I like to be around people. I like to be the life of the party. I like to be loud. I like to, be all those things. And so, like, it's hard to be, and I live alone. And so it's hard to be in my own space and not have people. So yeah, it's been much more difficult, I would say, for a lot of those same reasons you all talked about.
Yeah. And so, like, my profession is very different from everyone's. I went back to work this past Tuesday after the holiday, and if you guys don't know already, I'm a graphic designer. So it's like my work can technically be done at home or in the office, like, because I'm strictly just like doing projects all day. So, like, I mean, it's not really like easier or harder. Well, I will say in a little sense that it's kind of harder, only because, like, it's sometimes hard to get to management to kind of like get more information on whatever the project is about, because they're already at home, or you got to try to call them at a decent time, or clients even at decent time, to kind of see exactly what they want, when most of the time, because I also do consulting as well for creative marketing and stuff like that. So, like, and I know some of you guys talked about like doing Zoom calls, and sometimes they might not have the connection. And then, like, especially when people have tight deadlines, it's like, well, I need to know what is it that you need if you're trying to get this done by the end of business day today. I'm like, okay. So, so in some sense, it's been a little bit harder, but, like, since I've been coming back to work, it's slowly starting to become a little easier, I guess, now. Like, and now I have like immediate attention, or like direct, like, on my supervisor, like right there, and not to, like, answer the questions that I may have concerning a project or whatever. But so yeah. All right, so next question I have is, has working from home affected you guys' mental health? I'll start this one with Harry.
Oh yeah, 100%. So I feed off of people, and so I like being around people. And so Like, I would say for the first 45 days, I was literally in my house by myself. I didn't see anyone for like 45 days. And a lot of that was like me, I was like ordering groceries, having it delivered to my house. Like, I was literally that scared to go outside. And I work a lot with students, like encouraging them to seek counseling. And so like, I had to really take my own advice and really start back seeing a counselor. And so since being in self-isolation or quarantine or stay-at-home order, like I started back seeing a therapist because like my anxiety was literally so high where, you know, my head would start hurting or my chest would start closing up and I thought I had coronavirus. And so like literally like my mind was really starting to play tricks with me. And so for I would say the past 4, maybe a month now, I've been seeing a therapist regularly once a month. And I encourage that for everyone. Like, it's not, you know, there obviously, especially in our community as Black folks, there's a stigma around mental health and seeing a therapist. But it has literally been the best thing for me getting back to therapy since COVID-19 started. And so, yeah, my mental health has definitely been impacted by this. Like, I've been reading too much about COVID-19. I've been watching the news too much. On top of all the other things, all the shootings and killings that we've been watching, all the racism and injustice on top of COVID has definitely been tough for me. And so I would say after the first 45, 50 days, like I started getting into a better routine. And like that was definitely what helped me, like really having a routine, getting out of bed every morning, making my bed, actually putting clothes on is a big deal. You know, like just putting clothes on and getting yourself together and not just rolling out of bed and sitting on my couch or at my desk. And so taking walks, getting out of the house, getting some sunlight, like all those things have just really helped me over the past 70 plus days. And so, but yeah, my mental health, it's been tried, it's been tested in all ways you can think of. But I'm grateful for my village, my folks, my therapist that has really helped me through this thing, because none of us could have predicted this pandemic happening. Well, I mean, sort of, kind of, because Barack Obama talked about it, and then Trump just kind of didn't care. But so you know what I mean. But we were not ready. Like, we were not ready for it. So, all right. So,
I guess in a sense, yeah, because I don't want to be that honest. I will say this. My job is just very stressful, and I feel like it has become even more stressful now that it's through telehealth, because like Harry said, it's been more hours and it's been a lot more paperwork. And so due to that kind of stress, it definitely causes my anxiety to go way up. I have some anxiety around the virus itself, because at the start of the quarantine, I got bronchitis, and that is the wrong time to get sick while a pandemic is going on, but it happened. And so now, anytime I feel some kind of body ache, I'm like, oh, here we go again. We're here. So I guess in a sense, yes, my anxiety has increased, but like Harry, I still see a therapist. I have made myself try to get out of the house, not often, just to go to the gym, really, to be honest, to try to stay as active as I can. Outside of that, yeah, that's really it.
Last but not least, Ms. Cassondra.
Well, I feel bad because the whole time in quarantine, I think I stayed in the house one day, like this whole entire time, and it was mentally draining, not because I had to stay in the house, but because I was still babysitting and with other people on top of having to do virtual school, you know? So what usually is an 8-hour day, I can work 7 to 4, come home and be done. But now I have to do the videos for the kids. We do FaceTime calls. We have everything. So instead of saying, all right, y'all, it's 4 o'clock, I'm not responding to none of y'all messages anymore. You still got parents trying to message you at 10 o'clock at night. And it's like, well, I can't not message you back. But at the same time, that's past my 8 hours. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
professional boundaries.
Right.
Yeah. So that's something I did have to learn. Like, you know, give them office hours and stick to it. You message me after 5, you're not getting a response until 7 o'clock the next morning, you know? But aside from that, I think that's the only reason why it was more draining, because on top of virtual school, I still had like real kids I was babysitting and stuff. So it was a lot to try to handle.
Yeah. So my mental health, I mean, it's affecting me, but not like more in a positive way. And the reason why I say that's because, like, for me personally, it allowed me to do things that I've never done before. So like outside, so when I'm not working, I would like, you know, like Harry said, step outside, get some fresh air. I've developed a whole new love for nature, like done some hiking and stuff like that. That's everything that I always wanted to do, but never had the opportunity to do because I've been like stressed out. So
or didn't have time either.
Exactly, more so than not have time. So like now, you know, like my hours would decrease based off of like the need to work on a project. I was like, okay, well, shoot, maybe I can go to Stone Mountain and, you know, check out the mountain and then work out like outside, like for the parks that we have here. So it allowed me again to find a new like hobby and, you know, kind of like focus more on my fitness. So that's for me, that's kind of been like the way I've been like practicing self-care thus far. So yeah, with that being said, you know, for me, it's kind of like been progressing more. I'm just hoping to keep that going. Yeah.
Once outside opens again, officially.
Right.
So yeah, which moves me into my last question. What are some tips that you can give to our viewers, to everyone, to stay mentally and physically healthy with going back to work? So Ms. Dashia, I'll start with you.
Oh. Let's see. I guess I really didn't know how to answer this. I needed a moment. But thinking about what you said just now of like you found some new hobbies possibly that you like, I would say if there is something that you started doing during the quarantine that you enjoy, try to implement that. Even though you're going back to work, try to implement that into your week, however you want to do that, because obviously you have the time then to try to make time for it. I think now I just really know how important it is to get some vitamin D and to get out of the house. Even though I'm introverted, I am different from Harry and Cassondra. I am fine with being at home by myself. It is fine. But it still is important to get out, because I think when you're just in the house, you don't know what time it is. It's just your mind is
what day it
is. Hello. Yeah. So I don't know, try to implement the things that you found that you enjoyed, and then making sure that you're moving, getting your body moving. Doesn't have to mean that you're going to the gym 5 days a week. Yeah. But even if it's just a walk, I think that that's fine too.
All right. And Ms. Cassondra, what tips do you have for the viewers?
I would say just remember your self-care, you know, like whatever it is that you did even before all this quarantine stuff. Just think about your worst day at work you've ever had. You know what I'm saying? Like, what did you do when you got home? Like, everybody's looks different. Do you take a hot bath? Do you drink wine? Do you, you know, whatever makes you relax, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like with going back to work, not saying it's the most stressful thing, you know, it was my most stressful thing that first day, Lord, I tell y'all. But if, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if that's what you have to do, just remember, like, you know, don't forget about your self-care, whatever that looks like. Take care of yourself too during all this.
All right, Harry.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of that too. Like Dashia said, if you have a routine that you've been doing since being home, try to continue that routine. I would also say, like, when you go back into the office, like, the goal isn't for you to, like, day one just jump back into everything and try and save the world. Like,
right.
Like, it's okay to pace yourself. It's okay to tell your supervisor or whomever, like, look, that's all I got today. Like, I physically can't do any more of that today. I think take care of yourself too. Like, continue to, like, if you're sick, stay home. Like, you know, don't feel bad to stay home. Or if you have a coworker that's sick, tell them like you might need to stay home. Like, it's okay. You know, like, obviously in a respectful way. You don't want to get called HR or anything. Right. But, like, it's okay to, like, tell someone, like, hey, look, you coughing or whatever. Like, you might need to stay home. I think also, like, it's going to be super important that as we go back into, like, the world, to know that, like, it's not going to be what it used to be. Like, we're not going back into what it was, you know, pre-March, right? Like, things are going to change, and we have to change as those things change. And so, like, if we try and go back and do the things the same way we were doing it, you're going to get frustrated. Your anxiety is going to heighten. Like, things are going to happen, and it is going to impact your mental health. And so, like, it's important to really look at, like, what are the changes and really deal with those changes. So I think some of those things are going to be important. And a lot of times when we are working, we do forget about our physical health. Like, you know, I mean, I'll admit it. Like, I come home and I'm like, look, I'm tired. All I do is take a shower and find some alcohol and sit on the couch and TV. No, like, it's still important that I get outside, that I run, that I walk. Like, it's still important that we try and do those things. Again, you don't have to train for a marathon, but, like, at least get out and walk, right? Like, small things. Small wins are going to be important, I think, as we go back to work, and take baby steps. Don't try and jump back out there and change the world. Like, take your time, and I think we'll be fine. Yeah. I'm still optimistic about the world.
Okay. And I'll wrap it up I'll wrap this question saying two things. Of course, piggybacking off of everybody like me, I found a whole nother hobby that I never thought I would ever do, like, ever in my life, and actually like it. So I'm really going to, like, implement that into, like, you know, my daily routines, or maybe eat something on the weekend. Now, if you guys follow me on social media, I've been, like, going to the gym a lot lately. So I'm really trying to, like, keep that momentum going thus far, especially with going back to work, because this really has been, like, the stress relief, especially with coming back into work, because, like, everyone else, I was like, I don't want to be here. I'm not ready, you know? So yeah, that was one thing. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was definitely what Harry said about, like, definitely pace yourself as you, like, slowly get back into, you know, your kind of normal, but not really. And definitely accepting the fact that it's not going to be the same. Like, I'll speak for myself. Y'all know I love me a good brunch. So,
oh yeah, you do.
I do. So especially, like, with me being in Atlanta, where, like, that's very popular, like, it's so weird to even be back in that kind of space, because, like, with the coronavirus, you can't be within 6 feet of people. And then, like, in an environment like that, everyone's like this. So it's just, like, definitely just realizing that it's definitely not going to be the same. And, you know, with this coronavirus still, like, going on, numbers are fluctuating up and down. So it's like,
yeah.
No, people don't even know how to react anymore. But definitely, like I said, but the main thing I'm really trying to get through is definitely sticking to, like, your new hobbies, or just sticking to, like, what you've been practicing before everything, before, you know, going back into reality. So yeah, I am so.
Oh, I just had to, sorry, really quick. Right. Harry said something too that reminded me about the importance of mental health days. I know we talked about that briefly before, but I feel like I used to feel bad for taking a mental health day, you know, like, say your next holiday isn't until August, you know, and it's like, dang, that's so far away. Don't feel bad to say, look, I just can't. I need a day. I don't need to give you an excuse. I just need a mental health day. I'm about to choke slam everybody in this building. I just need a day. I'm serious. I just need a day. I don't want to think about work. I don't want to talk about work. I just need a day, personal day to myself, you know? So.
No, that's real. That's real, though. Like, it is real. Like, I'm all for it. Like, taking a day and sitting on my couch all day. Like, I don't have to have nothing to do. Literally, I just need a day. Like, because, like you said, like, I don't want to choke slam nobody today.
I'm not trying to send a threatening email today.
Oh, no.
I was going with that per my last email.
Right.
I was going to add, for those people who have, like, friends and family members who you found time to, like, check in with, or have little Zoom parties with, or watch movies together, I would say try to continue doing that, because I know that we're going to become really busy again, and it can become easy to just become forgetful and not check in with people as much as you normally would. So try to stay connected even when you go back to work. Also, as we go through these little phases, please be careful. Just because outside is opening up does not mean that people are cured and they have found a vaccine. Okay? I just saw a video. No, I saw a picture in Charleston. A club opened up.
All the clubs open, girl. Them lines was through the door. Down King Street, every single one of them clubs. Down the South. I could just see the corona in the air. Oh, no, y'all can have it.
No, that's real, though. Like, I'm still scared to go to the stores. Like, I did go get my hair cut, But I was the first one in the shop that morning. I called my barber the day before. I was like, I need to know what's y'all protocol because I ain't coming. You ain't getting my money if y'all not wiping stuff down. Like, he was like, how about I just come in 30 minutes early and cut you? I was like, I'll do it. Before y'all really open up, I'm down for that. Like, in my area, they had a racetrack opened up and had like 3,000 people at the racetrack last weekend. It actually was on.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, and since then, like, the cases are spiking, like they're going up. And I'm like,
Of course.
it is not time for us to go back outside. Like, it's really not.
Yeah. Well, y'all know Atlanta people don't listen. So last weekend,
Y'all been having picnics.
I'm about to say every weekend, right? Going to Corona picnic.
listen, we having picnics and barbecues still. But no, like this past weekend, they had a whole street blocked off to have a whole block party. Like,
Now, come on.
and I will, of course, like my friends sending me videos and stuff like that. And I'm just saying, I was in Florida actually trying to get away because I knew it was Memorial Day weekend, knowing people was going to come down here. So I was like, oh God, let me back away. So yeah, I just thought that was like hilarious. But anywho, so yeah, like I said before, as we wrap up Mental Health Awareness Month, I just want to say, you guys, as we're approaching going slowly back into reality, take those mental health days. Let's keep on maintaining it, especially during a time where it's like so much going on between this pandemic and also this recent tragedy that happened with George Floyd. So, Ms. Dashia D, you wrap us up.
I'll add, and if that includes social media detox, please do that as well.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no.
Yes, but don't do it until you have watched our episode on Monday.
Before we wrap up, I actually would really, again, I appreciate Harry for joining us in this conversation, as I really appreciate all of your input and feedback as per usual. Like I said, I was really excited to have him join this conversation. So,
join us every Monday.
Like,
comment,
subscribe,
and gas us all the way up.
see y'all later.
Bye.
Wow.